Dave Dombrowski is the smartest GM of all time. He's been in MLB since 1978 and worked his way up from making $8,000 a year all the way to being the top guy in the front office. He worked with the White Sox for 10 years, but left to join the Montreal Expos team in 1987. 1 year later, he became the Expos GM. He was the youngest GM in MLB history at 31 years old, and after being in charge for 3 seasons, he had already drafted 4 future All-Stars. Dombrowski had a bright future, but it just was not with the Expos. He went on to accept a job from the Florida Marlins in 1991. They were an expansion team. I mean, they had just entered the league whenever he took over. They were awful, it's that simple. Dave had no choice other than to build up the team from scratch. He spent 4 seasons in a row trying to build the team and got to a World Series in 1997. They won 92 games that year, and that was the very first Dave team that was successful. I mean, they had superstars like Gary Sheffield who were on the team, but right after winning this World Series, the Marlins ownership went up to him and said, hey, trade everyone who we are paying a lot of money to because he was a cheap owner. Just ridiculous stuff, right? And then this resulted in 4 years of losing for Dombrowski and the Marlins. They went on to fire him in 2001, and he became the GM of the Detroit Tigers. 2 years later, the Marlins actually won the World Series without Dombrowski. Funny enough, most of those players were guys that he drafted. In 2004, he drafted Justin Verlander. Verlander ended up being a key piece for Detroit, as we know, and he ended up being a game changer for the entire organization. Dombrowski's Tigers got to the playoffs 5 different times and got to a World Series twice. Unfortunately, they didn't ever win it, but one thing was for sure, winning followed where Dombrowski went. Before David got there, I mean, the Tigers missed the playoffs 13 times in a row. His tenure was overall successful, at least I would say, and he was let go in 2015. But in the very same year, the Boston Red Sox made a call to Dave, and they signed him. He went to Boston, and this is really where things started to become very interesting. After winning the World Series in 2013, they placed 5th place in back-to-back years. So the Red Sox were desperate, right? That's why they called Dave. They knew that he was a guy who could build a team out of nothing. He would trade the farm system, and he would go and win at the MLB level. That is exactly what he did. In his very first month, he traded for Craig Kimbrel. He gave up 4 prospects, but it's what needed to be done. Dombrowski doesn't care about your farm system. The guy just wants to win, and that's exactly what he's good at. He also signed former Tiger David Price in that very same offseason. He broke the bank, and that's what needed to be done. That's what you can respect. The Red Sox won the AL East in 2016, but were eliminated in the playoffs. Yet again, another great team that just couldn't make it in the postseason. Dombrowski wanted to be aggressive, and he wanted to get playoff wins, and that's exactly what he did. His way of being aggressive was to go out and make big moves. They ended up trading for Chris Sale in that offseason, and the team was really starting to come along. It got really good, a matter of fact, and they won the division. But once again, they were eliminated in the playoffs. We saw big changes made from Boston, including a new manager. Dave wasn't playing around after losing in 2017. They brought in a young guy from the Astros by the name of Alex Cora. This alone was a fantastic move, but he wasn't quite done yet. He gave superstar JD Martinez a 5-year, $110 million contract. Boston was all in. The 2018 Red Sox were arguably the best Red Sox team of all time. Boston legend Nathan Eovaldi and 2018 legend Steve Pearce both came to Boston at the midseason. They ended up being crucial for the Red Sox, and that team won the World Series. One of the greatest teams of all time, period. I do believe that team just had so much talent, and that's what you got to go ahead and credit Dave for. But man, oh man, after that season, things went extremely downhill. 2019 was bad for the Red Sox, and he ended up getting fired. It sucks, right? I mean, it's really bad. Post 2018, the Red Sox have just been bad in general. And a lot of people actually blame Dave Dombrowski for this, saying that he ruined the farm system. But at the same time, that theory's overblown by quite a bit. The best players of the 2023 Red Sox are actually players that he drafted. Brian Bale, yeah, you know, the young star pitcher for the Red Sox who looks to be great? Yeah, that's a product of Dave Dombrowski. Or in center field last year, we saw a young guy named Jarren Duran. Duran is strong, he's a great player, he's athletic in center field, he's a hitting machine when he's on, and yet again, another Dombrowski guy. These are some of the Red Sox best players and youngest players. Triston Casas as well. I mean, he nearly won the Rookie of the Year. He's a former first-round pick, and he was drafted by Dave. Casas had an insane year last season, and this is a guy with great power. He seems to be a top first baseman in the league already, and I could only imagine what he's going to be doing next year. After leaving the Red Sox, Dave went to Philadelphia in 2020. He came into another situation of a team who was really close to winning, but just needed to get better. They weren't good in his first year, although he understood the assignment after seeing them lose, and he spent $179 million with just 2 signings. One player is actually a guy that he drafted all the way back in 2010 with the Tigers. That player is Nick Castellanos. Castellanos may have had awful defense, and yeah, he did, but they were impressed with his bat. Same goes for the other signing in Kyle Schwarber. They were hoping to be able to get the 2021 version of Schwarber on the Phillies. He was the power bat that they needed, by the way. He was really good. The 2022 Phillies did make it to the playoffs, breaking the 11-year streak of not making it. That alone was a crowning achievement, but what happened next was even crazier. After just barely getting into the playoffs that year, they found themselves in the World Series. That's what you get out of having such an aggressive GM, and you get special moments like that one. Even though they lost in the World Series, it was a great underdog story for a team that we hadn't seen win in a very long time. The next offseason, they spent even more money, and Dombrowski was aggressive. This time it was superstar Trey Turner. Anytime something goes wrong, Dombrowski says, alright, I'll go and make a big move happen, and that's exactly what he did. The 2023 Phillies were also, again, really good, but they did get eliminated by the Diamondbacks, and it is what it is. It sucks, but it was a good baseball team then again. The biggest worry that Philly fans had this offseason was Aaron Nola. He's been a star pitcher on that team since 2015, and it was very close to being the end. He hit free agency, and I'm pretty sure that most people actually thought he was going to be leaving, including myself, but Dombrowski once again came out of left field, and he went and brought back Aaron Nola on a big contract. This guy makes stuff happen, and that's what they needed, and they got it. There was actually a report that came out yesterday saying that the Phillies offered a contract to Yamamoto. Yamamoto is the top pitching free agent by a long shot, and if they had Wheeler, Yamamoto, and Nola, that could possibly be the best rotation in baseball. I don't think that they're going to be getting them. But if they did, it would only add on to one of the greatest GMs in MLB history, and that's what you got to go ahead and respect. Yeah, there have been some really good GMs in baseball history, but to be fair, he's one of the better ones. I mean, he's definitely one of the best, if not the very best. But the way that this guy sees the game is unique. Win at the MLB level. I mean, who cares about minor leaguers? Am I biased because I'm a Red Sox fan? You're damn right I am. I mean, I am. Do I think he's one of the best GMs of all time? Yes, I do. What do you guys think? I would imagine that you guys also think of him as being really good. But if I were to guess, you guys say he hasn't won anything in the postseason. I would go ahead and differ with you a little bit there, but let me know what you guys thought of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.